You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites discover each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And today we are joined by my ride or die. She was the maid of honor in our wedding. We've known each other half our lives, which I just did the math on, because we met when we were 14, and I'm almost 28.
God,
This is my best friend, Kaity.
Hi.
And when we first announced this podcast, you were like super excited for me to get to Spider-Man specifically. And so that's why I wanted to have you on, because you were so excited for Spider-Man. Tell the people a little bit how you got into Marvel, because I know you're similar to me in the fact that you were resistant initially.
Yeah, so I still remember the first time I ever watched a Marvel movie. It was the first Avengers movie, and my whole family went to go see it in the movie theater. And that was back whenever I was younger, and I just hated action movies. So
Same.
I hated that movie. And so I just kind of wrote off Marvel altogether. The funny thing is, my older sister, loves Marvel. And I used to go see the X-Men movies with her, and I loved those movies. And one time after surgery, she came over, and because I couldn't get up and go anywhere, she was like, you're going to sit down, you're going to watch Civil War, and you're going to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, because I know you're going to love these movies. And that's what kind of got me into the Marvel universe, was Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. I grew up watching, Tobey Maguire's version
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, so that was really his character, his Spider-Man was what got me into being open to Marvel altogether, and now I love it.
Yeah. Have you seen everything up until what has been released currently?
I never saw Mark Ruffalo's version of the Hulk.
He doesn't have a solo.
Yeah, there's not one. It's Edward
There's
Norton.
not? Well,
It's Edward Norton.
Explain.
So the reasoning for that is Paramount owns the rights to Hulk. And so if they ever make a standalone Hulk, Paramount would get all the money and Disney would not.
So it's kind of like the Sony version, with...
But Sony
Spider-Man,
lent out Spider-Man.
Right,
Marvel owns Mark Ruffalo's version of the Hulk, not Edward Norton's.
I, however, would have liked to see a Mark Ruffalo solo Hulk movie.
Because Mark
I-
Ruffalo even said that he doesn't want his own solo. He would rather be in others.
Fair enough. I don't know what they would do with it, frankly, especially at this point.
Because the Hulk movies have never really done
well.
They've never done well financially.
I enjoyed the Edward Norton Hulk. It was definitely, it was only the second episode we ever did, but it's definitely not in my, top. But, I would have liked to see a Mark Ruffalo... I would have liked to see a Mark Ruffalo version to, have something to compare it to.
We're going to get that with She-Hulk.
I guess he has a large part in Ragnarok, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. You'll get... That could go either way to be a main Thor movie or a main Hulk, because both of them are pivotal to the plot.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Civil War is, kind of an Avengers movie, but not really.
Yeah.
So, we are covering... I don't know if I actually said it. I don't think I did. We're covering Spider-Man Homecoming today.
Yeah.
Which, watching a movie that's set in high school makes me feel, super old for some reason. But, I've watched...
Just you wait.
I've watched teen dramas since being out of high school, so I don't know why. I don't know why this movie...
dramas. There's a lot of extra stuff that doesn't happen in high school in teen dramas.
This, I feel was a pretty realistic depiction of, high school kids.
Most of them
at least in comparison to, Euphoria.
But that's the thing. Most of them are in their early 20s, where they just graduated, if not about to.
Tom Holland is such a baby.
I know. He looks like a baby, too.
Because I think he's younger than us, not by much.
No, he's younger than us.
No, I'm
sure.
saying not by much.
22 or 23. He's pretty young.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's so sweet, and I don't know. We'll get into it, but I find him so adorable. Not in not in an attractive way. He is attractive. It's objective, but he's like a little boy to me.
And I think that's why it works with his version of Spider-Man, is because with Tobey Maguire, you saw him in
high school.
College.
No, he was high school.
But he looked like he was older than high school. Yeah. And that's kind of like, I don't know, what we're used to is every time we watch something that's set in high school, none of the
I'm used to things
look like they're in high school.
I'm used to like Gossip Girl and Glee.
I was
and
just
like
thinking of Blake Lively, yeah.
like even Glee to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Corey Monteith was like 3 years younger than Matthew Morrison when that show started.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie was released in 2017, which we are like really getting close to the quote unquote modern day. I don't like saying that.
Yeah. There's only a few more that would be close to.
We've caught up pretty quickly, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, there's about, timeline-wise, there's about 2 movies a year, three events in the MCU.
And this is after the point where...
This is after Civil War.
Yeah, no, I know. This is after the point where, like, every single Marvel movie was guaranteed success.
Yes.
This was, like, massive.
But, like, during this time, Doctor Strange was going on and Spider-Man Homecoming were going on at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Like, the ending of Doctor Strange was around the start of Spider-Man. Same thing with Civil War. The end of Civil War was the start of Doctor Strange. So they're starting to line up to be one after another. Because we're in a period
of movies... Because I watch these movies at a pretty quick succession, so, like, it's very easy to, like, compare apples to oranges. But, like, we're in a period of time now where it's all the standalones. Because we have, like, Spider-Man, we have Doctor Strange, we have Black Panther, like...
Because now we're gearing towards Infinity War.
Yeah, we're towards the end of Infinity War now. So, this was directed by John Watts, who I am frankly not familiar with.
Yeah.
I feel like I say that with every director. Yeah, I know. With an exception of, like, Joss Whedon and, like, a couple of other people that I had seen some other things from.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing really interesting to say about that director specifically, because he doesn't have a huge filmography. But yeah, the movie starts with like a flashback to like right after the Battle of New York, and so they're like cleaning up all of the rubble,
debris, the Chitauri ships, the Chitauri itself, things like that.
And did you see this movie when it first came out, Katie? Or were you not into it yet?
No, Jessica I can't remember, she showed it to me right after, because I remember she had gone and seen Infinity War. Like, that weekend that Infinity War came out, she was all, you know, crazy about Marvel.
That was what, like, 2018?
Yes, it was 2018,
yeah. Because I was...
about a year after it came out,
because I was working at Box Lunch at the time.
Yeah.
Or, like, it was right...
It was Endgame.
I was working there at Endgame, yeah. So, yeah, the operation gets shut down. They're trying to like clean up everything, and then
the Stark and government funded defense control comes in and cleans everything up.
Yeah. And one guy pockets some alien material.
Yeah, their Tinkerer or whatever he's called.
He's the guy from he plays Piper's brother in Orange is the New Black.
Oh God, I don't remember that show well enough to know that reference.
I've never seen that.
He plays Piper's deadbeat brother in that show.
Oh, okay.
I know you've seen it. It's just been a long time. I don't know why there are certain faces.
The redhead dude?
The guy who's like the inventor guy on Vulture's team.
Okay. Or we don't know he's on Toombs' team.
Whatever. But and then so this is kind of where my beef starts, is because there's a title card that says 8 years later. So the first Avengers movie happens in 2012, which means 8 years later is 2020. This movie came out in 2017.
Yeah.
The math ain't mathin'.
So even because Civil War is 4 years after the Avengers, and this is 2 months after Civil War.
Yeah, because we have this whole, I'll get to it in a second, but like Peter is having basically vlog footage of the events of Civil War
from his perspective.
And he had like just gotten home from Germany.
Yeah.
And so it implies it's right after Civil War.
Yeah. And so that's the thing.
So
future director or the Russo brothers have came out and said, yeah, that was a mistake. It was an oversight at that time.
I'm surprised at how, like, massive these films are that they let that kind of thing slip.
But that's the thing. No one knew what year Infinity War and Endgame were going to take place.
Yeah.
Until they happened.
Because I immediately did that math in my head, and I was like, but nobody's wearing masks in this scene.
You're like, where's the COVID?
I'm so glad they don't bring in...
It's so weird watching shows that take place or were filmed during COVID, and people are, like, wearing masks in the background, and, like, people are talking about getting vaccinated. It's so weird that COVID's a storyline now.
I know.
Especially in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Well, I mean, like, you're a nurse, so, like, I'm sure, like, you see it all the time.
I'm just so used to it, though. Like, it doesn't even, like, register with me anymore.
Like, I remember
Like,
the most recent season of Law & Order SVU that, like, just finished airing, like, a couple months ago. Like, the beginning of that season took place during COVID and, like, during, like, mask mandates in New York. And, like, they are so wildly inconsistent with their mask wearing. Like, they'll take it off mid-conversation. I'm just like...
Although that's pretty accurate how people actually do it, you know?
It's like you'll be having some random scene, and, like, they'll just be taking it off mid-conversation while they're in a school.
You're like, okay, well...
Yeah, so Peter is filming vlog footage in Germany. And this is where I immediately was like, oh, he's so cute. He's so adorable.
Yeah.
Like,
he's so childish. Like, he's got that, like...
I mean, he is 15.
But it's like...
At this time.
Like we were saying before, we are so used to these...
The angsty teenagers.
No, not even that. But, like, we're so used to these teenagers being played by, like, 27-year-olds.
Yeah.
That he's acting like an actual 15-year-old. And he looks like an actual 15-year-old.
Yeah.
So... Tom Holland actually got this role because of Chris Hemsworth.
I didn't know that.
About 2 years before this movie released, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Holland were in a, like, whaling movie.
I saw that movie,
Heart of the Sea, or Heart in the Sea.
I'm sorry,
or
a movie about whaling?
It's like in the 1800s.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking about, like, orca whales, not, like...
Yes.
No. They're like humpback whales.
Yeah, where they hunt... It's in the 1800s to get the whale fat. For oil.
I have never heard of this movie in my life.
No one's ever heard of this movie in their life unless they loved Tom Holland, and that's the only reason why I watched it too. It's a pretty good movie, but it's also like, why would I watch a movie about that?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've heard of movies like Dolphin Tale, but that's movies made for kids.
I was part of the only reason why I saw it was I was part of the AMC like premiere a long time ago, and if you watched enough movies, you would get like pre-screenings of movies, and that was one of them.
I'm not sure a movie about whaling would be top of my list.
It was a free movie.
There you go. It was pretty good though, right?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything else about it ever since.
No.
Which is why I've never heard of it.
But that's how, because Chris Hemsworth said he was such of a great actor in that movie playing a child, and this was only 2 years before this. And so Chris Hemsworth helped get him the role of Spider-Man.
Did you ever see that, I can't remember what it's called now, but the movie, what was Naomi Watts was in it, the one about the tsunami?
Oh,
where he played his son.
I know exactly what movie you're talking about. I did not know Tom Holland was her son.
Yeah, he plays the son in it.
Only
And
done
that's
like...
what everybody talked about with Tom Holland when he was a kid. I think he was like 10 or something when he filmed that movie. Is people were like, he's a really amazing actor.
I don't know if I registered that was Tom Holland. I don't know. That's one of those movies that my dad would have had on in the background on HBO that I was not paying attention.
Yeah, probably. That seems like your dad.
Yeah, Tom Holland only started acting in 2012.
Well, I mean, he was a baby.
But think about it. In 5 years, he became Spider-Man.
That's insane, though. It's kind of crazy to me how, like, certain franchises can just, like, pluck you from obscurity, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And it's absolute insanity to me. Like, look at the kids from Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like, huge now. One of them's having beef with Doja Cat. I don't get it. And he goes, there's a scene between him and Tony Stark in the car. And he's like, does this mean I'm an Avenger? And Tony's like, no. So then we flash forward 2 months, and we figure out that he is a physics genius.
I mean, Peter's just as smart as
I literally wrote
Man.
next to, he's a physics genius, can't relate.
I mean...
I failed physics. Trust me, if you had the teacher that I had during physics, you would have failed too. He was terrible.
I mean...
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Peter Parker in the comics, his IQ is around 250, which That's higher than, like, Einstein and most other people. That's, like, Tony Stark
Yeah, but,
level.
like, frankly, who cares about IQ?
But that was the thing about his character, and I guess kind of how, or why, like, Tony Stark kind of latched onto him. I don't think was just because he was, what was it, Matthew, that he, like, found him through, like, these YouTube videos that were being posted about him or something. I don't think that that's the only reason why. Like, he probably latched onto Peter Parker so much because he saw him as, like, a mini Tony Stark.
Didn't he apply for the...
No, he didn't apply. Tony Stark made that up.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so there's a fan theory that's been going around for a few years that the spider that bit him was made in a lab by Tony Stark. Because the other two Spider-Mans were bitten by a spider from Oscorp. So that's the fan theory that he's known about Spider-Man.
And Oscorp only doesn't exist in this movie because it's owned by Sony.
Yes.
Which, personally, and I've said this to Matthew before, I really love the character development of the Green Goblin and Osborn in the Tobey Maguire.
Oh, just wait.
Oh yeah, just you wait.
I love that character development. I think it's amazing. Willem Dafoe is incredible.
Such a good movie.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's the
I swear everybody's constantly like, just you wait for this. Just you wait for this.
Because everything you're saying gets better after Endgame.
Yep.
Like, everything that you're looking for now, everything that you're commenting on will happen after Infinity War and more after Endgame.
Okay. And then we meet Zendaya's character, MJ.
Mm-hmm.
And
we don't know that she's MJ.
Well, yeah, but
we just
she's
know
MJ.
That she's Michelle.
I love Zendaya. Like, have you seen Euphoria, Katie?
I haven't. I have HBO, so if you want to share.
It is so not for the faint of heart.
That's what I've heard.
I'm not sure you would like it, in all honesty. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. It's a great show, but it's just a lot.
Yeah.
But Zendaya is incredible in it. And, like, I thought that I've kind of always known that she was a relatively good actor because I've seen her in, like, a handful of things before. But, like, Euphoria took her over the top for me. Like, she has a similar, in Spider-Man, she has a similar kind of deadpan to her character in Euphoria. But obviously her character in Euphoria is, like, far more cynical and, like, messed up, for lack of a better word. Zendaya is incredible. I'm really looking forward to getting more of her in these.
Oh, you do. She becomes less and less cynical as the movies go on.
But I think she makes some, like, really interesting choices with her acting that I find it really interesting and intriguing to watch her process.
Yeah.
If you are a big Zendaya fan, you need to watch Euphoria, even though it's, like, so not for everyone.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
If you like good cinematography, it's a great show. If you don't like anything dark or twisted or about mental illness, maybe stay away.
Yeah.
But so we learned that he's quitting all of his activities for Spider-Man because he can't do both.
So he's basically, like, juggling this, like, secret identity and
high school.
Which is very, like, Hannah Montana of him.
Oh my god, that's what I was just thinking of. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
I swear we have the same brain sometimes.
I know.
But, like, with this Spider-Man, it's a lot closer to the comic Spider-Man. With the humor.
I think that's why a lot of people liked it, too, is that it was a lot more cheeky. Like, his depiction of, or characterization of Peter Parker and Spider-Man were a lot more like the comics, where it was more playful.
While I have to say, Tobey Maguire's looks more like adult Spider-Man than Tom Holland does. But Tom Holland acts more like Spider-Man. So you're saying
Tom Holland doesn't do the dorky dance that Tobey Maguire did at in the third one?
We don't talk about the third movie. We don't talk about it.
I've only seen it once.
We don't talk about...
I've just seen it memed to death.
We don't talk about that movie because Venom does not do that to people.
Are you a Venom stan?
Venom's awesome, though.
So you're a Venom stan?
No, not a Venom stan. I still haven't seen the Venom movies, but Venom is a great character in the comics, games, and in the movies. he's just a great character.
There's like sprinklings throughout of this character Flash, which for some reason, so Matthew's a big DC fan, and I was like, is that the Flash? And he was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that you had to ask me that.
It clicked in my brain because I've seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He's the guy that like messes with him in the cafeteria and
the
that
bully.
One. Yes, the bully.
It's the same Flash.
It's the scene where he like catches all the stuff on the tray.
Yeah.
Which I would have liked Tom Holland to recreate that. That would be great.
But it's not a recreation of the first one though.
I know. I still think it would have been a fun callback, but whatever. They're different studios, so it's fine.
Well, just you wait for the fun callback.
Yeah, just you wait.
This Peter is such a doofus.
I mean...
But it's cute.
But he's a typical high schooler, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that he's, like, clumsy and,
But he is just learning his powers, though. That's the thing. He's only had them for about 6 months before going to Germany. Before Civil War, he only had them for 6 months. If you got those abilities, you would still be clumsy and trying to learn...
I can't walk on flat ground on my own 2 feet.
That is true.
Barefoot.
That is true.
I'm the clumsiest human being known to mankind, and like literally everyone that knows me will attest to that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I've seen you fall on nothing multiple times just this week. But we actually see him change into it. It's not like one of those Superman things where it's just under his clothing.
Yeah, so because there is that shot where it's like all like baggy on him, and I was like, why is it baggy? Like, and then he like touches the spider on his chest, and it like basically vacuum seals to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's a cool touch. That was cool.
But I just love the scene where he's talking to the sandwich dude, and the dude's like, he has the hot aunt in Spanish, and then he just starts speaking Spanish about his daughter. No
shade to Marissa Tomei. Okay. She's beautiful, don't get me wrong. She's not hot enough to be constantly hit on.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's also a little bit like, stop hitting on this 15-year-old's aunt.
Yeah.
To him. I don't know, it's mildly inappropriate.
But that's why he was saying it in Spanish, because he didn't know Peter spoke Spanish.
Right.
I don't know.
But Tony did it all the time. But that's also just Tony Stark.
What is it? Where is the scene, is it at the beginning or the end where Tony keeps like messing up and like accidentally objectifying her? Is it at the beginning, or is it a blooper? It might have been a blooper.
I think it was a blooper.
But he keeps trying to save people that like don't need to be saved.
Yes.
Like he's like trying to. He's like, is this anyone's bike? Is this anyone's bike?
And he just leaves the bike on the street, or when he was trying to stop a person from breaking into his own car.
Yeah, but that's when you get to see the
Stan Lee cameo.
The Stan Lee cameo, yeah.
It was one of 4 that were filmed on the same day.
I feel like I heard that, yeah.
It was Guardians 2, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange,
and one that was rumored that we think it's Ragnarok.
And Civil War.
I thought there was one that was rumored.
It might have been. No, it was Ragnarok. Yeah. It was Ragnarok's Homecoming, Guardians, and Doctor Strange.
There's a shot of him sitting on the fire escape eating his sandwich, and he calls Happy, and it's there's this fantastic shot of the city in the background. No, of the Statue of Liberty in the background. And it's this beautiful, like...
I thought it was just the city.
No, it's the Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
It's this beautiful shot of, like... The Statue of Liberty is framed by his face and a building. It's like in sunset and has like some lens flares. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But it's a great shot. I really appreciated that cinematography. But yeah, he calls Happy, and Happy is like just not wanting really anything to do with him.
Because he
just keeps blowing him off.
Because Happy thinks Peter is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because he's a high schooler that Tony has trusted with Stark Tech.
Yeah, like, nobody's taking Peter seriously.
Yeah.
Which I think is really sad, because...
But, I mean, he is 15.
But he did carry his weight in Germany.
No, he did not.
He did.
He did not. He got beat in 2 minutes, and then he was out.
He was a good asset. He was, like, responsible for that whole takedown of Ant-Man.
Because of an old movie that he watched.
Because of Star Wars?
Yeah. So after he calls Happy, he sees an ATM being robbed.
And they're all wearing plastic Avengers masks.
Which, there is a weird thing with that scene. So, Thor's mask. Thor has never worn that. In the comics, Thor has a helmet that he wears.
He's never worn it in the films.
Yeah. So, it's just a factual error in it.
I just think it's a callback to the comics. That's what I think it is.
But where would they have gone that mask, though, when he's never worn that mask in here?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because
in
it's
the
not...
MCU, he never wore that helmet.
Because in the context of their
world,
reality,
he's never worn that helmet. So when they bought the helmets...
You make a good point.
They bought it from probably Party City. But we do see the space weapons. Or the futuristic weapons.
Made with the Shatari.
But we don't know that yet. We don't know that
They
yet.
are, though.
Yes, they are, but we don't know that yet. We see... It's not a new robot. It's the same old one.
But it's being repaired. And I have talked about how I really love Tony's robot, and I really hated to see it get destroyed in Iron Man 3.
Yeah. It got rebuilt.
It was like the robot, his little puppy. It's cute. It's his little friend. I like the weird sidekicks. They're fun. And then he basically like sneaks back into his room, and his best friend is there and basically finds out that he's Spider-Man. I'm sorry, Katie, you would not be this calm finding out that I'm like secretly a superhero.
I wouldn't be like, oh my god,
But you can't
so
keep a
cool.
secret.
I'd be like, wait
But you
a
can't even keep a
second.
secret.
No, I really can't.
Yeah, Sarah would just go like on the streets of New York going, hi, I'm Spider-Man. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man.
But another...
You're not wrong. That's
Yeah.
the sad thing.
Get another Aunt May scene, which there's only like 3 in this entire movie.
Don't get me wrong, Marissa Tomei is pretty.
No, I'm just
I
saying...
like her a lot.
No, I'm just saying we only get like 3 scenes with her in it.
I do think that she is such a good, like, mother figure to him, because she's very, realistic, but also, like, she's very realistic and very, yeah, but she's not, like, I feel like the one in Tobey Maguire's was very, like, almost grandma-y, like, almost, like,
Right.
overprotective, whereas I feel like this Aunt May, like, kind of lets him be a little bit more.
Well, and I think that's the thing, like, I love her Aunt May. Like, I wish that there were more scenes with her, because she's, like, I wouldn't say a comic relief, but she's more laid back, and she kind of represents, like, the cool aunt a little
Well,
bit.
I mean, that's
like, the
how
scene where they're
Andrew
eating-
Garfield's was. Andrew Garfield's was laid back.
Yeah.
The scene where they're, like, eating Thai food together, and,
Mhm.
like, it's just, I don't know, it's, like, just really sweet, and, like, you can tell that if he had an issue, he could go to her for anything, and
Doesn't
she's...
have an issue and he doesn't go to her.
No, but, like, I'm talking, like,
But
more...
he could have.
Yeah, he could.
And she would be realistic and honest, but also, like, she wouldn't be overly cautious, I feel like.
But that's the thing. I just want to know what actually happened with this Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And they never do.
Because...
I thought the whole reason why, at least this is what I remember Jessica, my sister, telling me, was the whole reason why they never explained how Peter got his powers, and the whole reason why they never explained Uncle Ben was because every single time that they've made a Spider-Man movie, they've explained it.
Yeah.
Everybody already knows
It's tedious.
Bitten by a spider. They're just not going to spend the time on
Yeah.
that. They're going to spend the time on other development.
Because it's not an origin story, that's the thing.
So...
Right.
Compared to the other 2 that
Do you
were
think-
recreates.
As we're recording this, yesterday they announced the name for the new Spider-Man.
There's not a new Spider-Man.
It was
You're
Spider-Man
talking about
freshman
the,
year.
The show that they're going to do on
It's a Disney Plus animated.
Oh.
like TV show. It's
Okay.
not a Tom Holland.
It's not Tom
yeah,
Holland.
yeah.
Ned's not
Okay,
in it.
Because when
So,
I intentionally didn't look into it because I didn't want to know anything.
like Tom Holland isn't voicing it.
Right.
Because initially when I read the subtitle of it, I was like, oh, we're gonna go back and do an origin.
So there's been rumors for years that they're going to make a 3rd Andrew Garfield, which has sort of been confirmed.
Didn't the Andrew Garfield ones not do well though? Is that the whole reason?
Didn't, from what I remember.
They didn't do well, but a lot of people wanted another one.
I saw the first Andrew Garfield with my parents because it was like the only thing that came out that weekend.
It was more. He was a good
Andrew
Spider-Man, but it was the villains that ruined it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, in Tobey Maguire's, the villains and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was great. Same thing with Tom Holland's. The villains are great, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But in Andrew Garfield's, you can't have one good and one terrible. They both have to kind of be good. These are both massive villains.
Frankly, I don't really remember it. I remember there being a lizard doctor guy.
The first one was a lizard, which is Dr. Connor.
That was the problem.
Dr. Connor.
With the Andrew Garfield ones, is the villains were just so dumb looking.
And
like,
then,
you couldn't really take it seriously.
Even,
but his
like,
Spider-Man and his Peter Parker, really, like, his Spider-Man was so accurate. Like, he had that goofy kind of...
But I feel
demeanor.
like, even from what I remember of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man lizard guy, like, the Edward Norton Hulk, the villain in that is the Abomination. It's basically a very similar looking giant lizard. That was several years earlier and looks better from what I remember.
It's not a giant lizard.
It looks like it's like a Godzilla looking creature.
It's the Hulk. It's the Gray Hulk.
Yes, dear. It looks like a giant lizard for all intents and purposes.
Like, the CGI looks better.
Yes, that's what I was trying to...
CGI, not a lizard.
It looks like a giant lizard.
And then Electro and Andrew Garfield's wasn't great either.
Right.
They made him blue.
Yeah.
Which they fixed in a later movie, which I liked.
Anyway, so there's a montage of Ned, his bestie, asking him a bunch of, like, really dumb questions. What were some of the questions? Do you remember that?
Can you talk to spiders? Can you control spiders? Where does the webs come out? How are the webs made? Which how the webs come out has always been a running joke. Then we get to see Captain America, who is technically a war criminal right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Which they must have, so they basically, the school is, like, required to do these Captain America fitness challenges.
Which is the Grand Pacer test.
Which gives me so many flashbacks.
It's the Grand Pacer test.
Do you remember, I don't know if other high schools did this, but ours definitely did. I don't know if you remember this, Katie. But our school, for some reason, made us do them regardless. They wouldn't let us change first. They would, like, make us do them in jeans if we were wearing jeans that day, which seems, like, if you're trying to do, like, flexibility tests in skinny jeans because it was 2011...
Yeah.
Like, what are you people doing? Do you remember that at all?
I just remember the running back and forth thing and the beeping and it getting faster together, and it was always, like, so
pointless
feeling. No, it always just felt so intense. It was like I was gonna die.
It's also, like, super embarrassing for the people, i.e. me, that are not physically fit at all.
Right. You basically just get to be, like, publicly shamed by your classmates.
And
for how little you can run.
It's not even, like, because you're just with your, first period English class. You're not with, like, a gym class. You're just with these random people.
We did it in our gym class.
Like, our school didn't require gym. Our school required a gym credit, but it wasn't necessarily gym class.
Ned yells that he's friends with Spider-Man. That Peter's best friends with Spider-Man.
Just, like,
You are Ned through and through. Am I wrong, Katie? Sarah is Ned.
She definitely is.
Having the two people that know me best in the world. If only my mom was here, and then you could all roast me.
Mom would probably say, "No, you're not Ned."
My mom would not know what's going on. My mom would be like, "Who?" She's never seen any of these.
Yeah, so Peter and Ned go to their quote-unquote first high school party ever.
Yeah, never did one of those.
I did.
I know, right?
Yeah, you had to have friends in high school to go to parties, and, like...
We just had Glee marathons in high school.
No kidding.
Nerds.
I think we've seen...
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, so Peter wasn't going to do Spider-Man there, but then Flash was egging him on to call Spider-Man, and so Peter started changing and saw a giant explosion in the distance. And of course, the hero Peter had to go and search it.
Yeah, so Peter is definitely a Gryffindor.
Yeah.
He's in that same.
Definitely Gryffindor.
He's the same way that Harry is, where he's just like always finding trouble.
But he could because he is drop dead loyal to Tony.
Yeah, but you can also make an argument for Ravenclaw. We had the same conversation about Captain America.
I wouldn't say Ravenclaw. Yes, he is smart, but
I personally think he's a Gryffindor. He has very similar traits to Harry.
But Harry is not searching for...
Oh, yes, he is.
No, he is not searching for approval from everyone, like Peter does.
No, but Harry does find trouble.
Yes, but finding trouble is not a Gryffindor trait.
They're very brash and, like...
Peter's not brash, though.
I don't know. I do think he's a Gryffindor, though.
I say more Hufflepuff because he is loyal to a fault to Tony. Kind of like how Cap is loyal to a fault with Bucky. Whatever Tony says, Peter does.
What do you think, Katie?
But not really, because he rebels against Tony all the time. But I think that's a child thing.
Yeah, that's the child in him, is the rebelling. So it's hard.
Because Matthew, you'll understand this. Like in an upcoming movie, when Tony says stay and he goes anyway.
True.
He defies what Tony says a lot.
But that is also the kid, because at that point,
I'm gonna prove to you that I can be a part of this team, sort of thing.
Which makes him more Slytherin for being defiant.
Yeah, but that's not defiance isn't necessarily a Slytherin trait.
But I want to prove you wrong. I'm going to go along with it no matter what you say is a Slytherin
That's an
trait.
arrogant, which is Slytherin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's an argument to be made for a lot of them. I don't know if I know enough.
I was about to say.
Which we still need to do that.
Oh yeah, we want to do a whole episode, maybe at the end of once we're caught up.
I say once we do No Way Home.
Yeah, I think we want to do a episode where we sort all the characters.
That would be fun.
We had a whole discussion, I think, in our Civil War episode that Captain America is definitely a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
loyal to a fault.
Yeah, I can see that.
He takes loyalty a little too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, back off my soapbox.
So we see more of the futuristic weapons made from the Chitauri. And this is the first time we see the Shocker glove.
And we see Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
Now Matthew, you probably know, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember Jessica telling me this. So whenever they were talking about making another live-action Spider-Man, people really pushed for them making one with
Miles Morales.
An African American.
Yeah, Miles Morales.
Or even just an African American Peter Parker.
Which
and they really wanted, like, the whole internet came together and said, we want what's his real name?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. And so that was like his little cameo in this movie.
He's a villain later.
He's never introduced again.
Oh, you said he's a...
No, so him in the comics, he is called the Prowler in the comics.
Because his character is implied to be Miles Morales' uncle.
Yes.
In this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they were building up for Miles Morales, which is the African American Spider-Man. Pretty much, I think the only one.
And Miles Morales is only in the Into the Spider-Verse, which is not the MCU.
Right. Yes.
And that one game that you always play.
Yes. So Miles hasn't technically been introduced in the MCU yet. They may down the line, but not right now.
Yeah. Well, Matthew, you would recognize this reference too. With future movies, I could see them bringing
they
other
absolutely could. They absolutely could with the Secret Invasion in Phase 6. They absolutely could do Miles Morales.
Yeah.
That reference went over my head.
You'll understand.
Secret Invasion was just shown yesterday.
I know.
In the comics, Miles has a major part in the Secret Invasion. In the comics, at least.
I don't necessarily know. Role. I'm not entirely sure what that means exactly. So.
But once you start seeing them talk about the multiverse, you'll understand.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a giant brain.
Because you do see did you recognize a lot of the people in No Way Home at the end in the purple screen?
Yeah. Yep.
Several future people will be introduced from that.
Yeah.
I swear every single one of these episodes, somebody's always like, this really vague description of this thing.
I'm not going to tell you what it is.
You'll understand it. When you watch that movie, you'll go, oh.
They introduced another Sinister Six in that scene also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's like, what?
If you watched my Twitch, you would learn of the Sinister Six. But okay.
You told me the other day. You were rambling about it the other day.
I didn't tell you which one was in it.
Yeah, you said this person, and a person we haven't met yet. So yeah, there's this whole scene with like the weapons dealer, Shocker, Childish Gambino, and they're basically, what are they doing in this scene?
He's buying weapons, or he's looking at the merchandise.
Yeah.
Before he buys. But the deal goes bad because Spider-Man had to show himself.
Yes.
And spoil the fun for everyone.
And Vulture basically, like, snatches him out of the air and, like, drops him in a lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony comes and saves him, and he thinks that it's actually Tony, but it's really one of those remote suits.
Tony's in India, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I love, Matthew pointed this out to me, I didn't notice it at first, but he pointed this out to me that because actual Tony is, like, walking around this party that he's in with a drink in his hand, the robot is holding a drink.
And then when he gets in the car, the suit sort of looks like it sits.
Well, and then Peter hears the car, and he's like, are you driving?
Mm-hmm.
And he puts a heater
in his suit.
Do
you know why he put a heater in his suit?
You said it, and I don't remember.
Tony learns from his mistakes. So remember in Iron Man 3 where he got trapped in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Without a heater in his suit?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want the same thing happening to anyone else that wore a suit that he made. So all of his suits going forward has heaters in them in case if he gets trapped. Same thing with the wristwatch, which I forgot to talk about in Civil War.
We touched on it.
Is why, so if you remember in Iron Man 3, when he had to wait for his suit to get to him.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to wait for his suit to get to him. He could have a part of his suit on him at all times.
Yeah, no. We chatted about it.
Okay.
And that, yeah.
But he learns from every mistake. Like, Spider-Man has a parachute because Rhodey's suit didn't when Rhodey was falling.
Mm-hmm.
So he learns every time.
Basically, Tony, is mad at him for going rogue, essentially.
For trying to fighting something off that's too big to chew for him.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And Peter also pockets one of the Chitauri power cell thingies.
He takes one of the weapons.
It's like the little battery thing.
The weapon broke in half when it fell out of the truck.
Yeah.
He took the part that had the cell in it and was taking it apart. And
the bad guys basically track him to the school.
Or they're tracking the sensor.
Yes.
The radiation from the cell.
And then Peter plants the little sensor on one of the guy's legs.
Mm-hmm.
And the little sensor is a little spider, which I thought was cute.
That was cute.
They track him to Maryland because they're going for a school competition thing.
Because he already dropped out of doing it, but then realized they're in Maryland, so he decided to rejoin the decathlon.
Decathlon.
Decathlon?
The super smart test. The super smart people.
I heard decathlon was like running.
I don't.
No, that's a triathlon. Academic decathlon.
That.
Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, no.
I don't think our school had that.
All schools have it.
See, Sarah, we were so out of the loop dumb that we didn't even know our schools had it.
Are you kidding me? We're in all AP classes, so don't even.
Still too dumb. Academic decathlon, apparently.
No, all schools have that.
I did not know that was an option at my school.
I mean, it's not like you would have joined anyway.
Rude. I think I did, a debate event, once. And I bombed at it and never did it again.
So, we learn of the protocol that is in his suit that is blocking him from everything. It's called Training Wheels Protocol. Because Tony just likes to make fun of Spider-Man.
Yeah. And so they're basically, hacking the suit, trying to take the little tracker out.
Yeah.
And he basically, unlocks the next level of his suit.
Which is everything. His web grenades,
Karen.
double webs.
Karen.
He names it Karen because originally she...
Was this before that name?
It had to be. I was about to say.
Yeah, it was.
That they would have named her something different if Karen was what it is now.
Yeah.
They would have named her Susan or something.
It's a name people are actually named. I know somebody who has a
Yes, Sarah, Karen is actually a name.
Yes.
No, I know.
Good job, dear.
I know somebody whose toddler is named Karen.
What? Ew, that's not a toddler's name.
Everything is a toddler's name.
But Karen is too adult of a name.
Yeah.
That's like naming your dog Ted. It just doesn't work. It's not a baby.
Ted
name.
isn't the worst
Karen.
dog name.
Karen the baby. No.
But
I would never.
So we learned that Vulture is trying to steal more alien tech from all the different events that has happened on in the last few years, from the Triskelion crashing to Ultron's body parts, things like that.
Mm-hmm. We also get this scene where the bad guys are testing out this new technology where they can basically go through materials.
I'm trying to remember what he called it. It was
They basically put these, like, little things on the... I'm
Like
being real descriptive here.
Antimatter transporter or something.
They put the things on the thing, and then they go through the thing.
Right.
Say thing one more time. Say thing one more time.
I'm a hand talker, so a non-visual format is, like, really hard for me.
They put 4 electronic devices on top of the shipping container that lets them to get in and out through the ceiling. Is that a better thing of what you were trying to say?
Yes.
So Peter gets in it.
So more or less the same thing Sarah said.
Yeah, more or less, without having to say the word thing 15 times.
You just way overcomplicated it. I think people got it.
I put a thing on a thing to get through this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
Got the point across.
But Peter gets trapped in it.
We all obviously knew what you were talking about.
If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
But not
And I would
everyone
hope that people would have seen the movie. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's on you.
Fair enough.
No, but Peter gets trapped in it. He gets knocked out trying to jump out of it.
Yeah. He gets trapped in the truck with all of the things.
Yeah, and
And then the truck is in the warehouse
of defense control.
And this is where he names the voice Karen. He's
And
like, I think I'm gonna name you Karen.
Because he was talking.
He was saying suit lady.
He was saying suit lady, yeah, and he was talking about Liz, and so the suit was like, "Do you want me to be named Liz?" And he was like, "No, that's weird."
I love how she's like, you should tell her how you feel.
I mean, I don't know if you knew this, Katie, but Karen is Paul Bettany's wife in real life, who was Jarvis.
Interesting. I wonder, like, where they even pulled that from.
I think
she's an actor too.
Yeah. And
so it was just kind of coincidence.
I have a note that says the gooey thing is a bomb, and I have no idea what I mean.
The thing in Ned's
backpack. I know what
backpack.
you mean.
Ned's backpack.
Yeah.
The Chitauri bomb.
I don't know why I call it the gooey thing.
I don't know why either. You need to take better notes.
I think it's because I make jokes to myself that I only think are funny, and I don't know what I mean the day after.
Jennifer Connelly, that's who you're thinking of. Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly is Karen's voice.
So basically, they figure out, for some reason, I called it a gooey thing. I don't know why. They figure out that that's a bomb.
Or Peter learns he can't get a hold of
because they had
Ned.
to turn their phones in at the competition.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with SJW Gen Z MJ.
What's SJW?
Social Justice Warrior.
Okay. Then why didn't you just say that?
Because it was easier to type out than Social Justice
But
Warrior.
I can't read your notes when you do acronyms.
I know what I meant. Sometimes. I love that she is very much of her time. Because I feel like Kirsten Dunst, that's really hard to say. Kirsten Dunst's MJ was very of her time. And I think Zendaya's MJ is very of her time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you can't forget about Gwen Stacy's.
Oh.
Andrew Garfield.
Which, I'm sorry.
Emma Stone?
I don't know. I feel like if you know about the comic books a little bit, I feel like people are either like MJ fans or they're Gwen Stacy fans.
They're never in the comics together. That's the thing. So
what?
They're never in the comics together.
No,
in the
they
arc,
aren't.
Because in different arcs, it'll be either his love interest is MJ,
yeah,
or Mary, or Gwen.
I don't know. I really like Kirsten Dunst, so I think that like, as an actress, because, like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Marie Antoinette. I freaking love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and I think she's incredible, and I think that might make me like MJ just that much more. I also love Zendaya, too, so... Except we don't know much about this MJ.
Not yet.
So...
Yeah, we don't know a lot yet. We learn more in the future Spider-Man movie.
The Chitauri core detonated when they went up in the Washington Monument.
That's not why that radiation detonated it.
Yes.
So when it went through the X-ray.
Oh, I did not catch that.
Yeah.
We've established on this podcast my ADD is not good for podcasting.
Yeah, the radiation from the X-ray machine set it off.
Oh, yeah, no.
Which is why, at the end of the movie, when his wings sort of blew up, when he was next to the arc reactors. Because the arc reactor still gives off radiation.
I wonder if they actually filmed this in DC, because I think they might have.
No.
They didn't?
The real life Washington Monument has a lightning rod on top.
I've only been once when I was like 10, so
no,
I don't really remember it.
It was a set.
It was very well done. Like, you could have convinced me that it was really there.
The real one has a lightning rod on top.
I love this little thing where the lady in the elevator, the security guard, is like, everybody's gonna be okay. The safety systems are in place, and then Karen in Peter's suit
is like security systems failing.
It's like
this can hold us.
Yeah,
it cannot hold them.
One lady says it, Karen says the the opposite.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say the voice inside Tony's suit because that's what I'm used to.
Now we have Friday.
Yeah.
In the suit, which we almost had Tadashi.
Yeah. Have you seen Big Hero 6, Katie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was about to be like, why are we even friends if you haven't seen that movie?
No, I love that movie.
It's a fantastic movie. But yeah, did you catch the Tadashi reference in
Civil War?
In Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron.
No.
So when Tony is picking up
the Friday chip,
put in a suit, there's Tadashi.
After Vision forms.
Yeah, because he loses Jarvis.
Because Big Hero 6 is a Marvel comic.
I didn't realize that it was.
Yeah, it's a graphic.
Yeah, which you see the similarities now.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking with my hands. You can't see me.
I don't know why either. Just put your hands down.
Every now and then I see your hand on the screen.
No, so yeah, Tadashi was on a chip, and then there was one other one. I just don't remember the other person.
It was Jocasta.
Which is Vision's wife in the comics, not Wanda.
The day we're recording this is the day the Age of Ultron episode goes up, or went up.
Which is why it's...
So that's why it's fresh on our brains.
Oh, okay.
So then the spider flies off his chest and becomes a drone.
So, yeah.
And he refers to him as Droney, which I think is really cute. I love those characters. The little robots and the drones. Red Wing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think they're sweet. He's breaking through the window of the Washington Monument, which I can't imagine is that easy.
It's 4 inches thick, so he had to get enough force to break through it.
That shot was really cool, though.
Mm-hmm. And then somehow he was able to stop.
And he basically has this capability in his suit where it like turns into a little flying squirrel outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's one of the things that like one of the new capability.
Yeah.
And he's able to glide, and he saves Liz last second.
Mm-hmm. Which reminded me of Gwen falling in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Nope.
When Gwen was falling through the clock tower?
Sarah, you have to.
I've seen the first one.
But
no, I'm not.
You have to watch that before you watch Spider-Man. What is it?
No Way Home.
Far From. Yeah, you have to, because there's a reference in it that'll.
I know that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in them.
Yeah, okay,
I know.
but you just have to. You'll understand.
If I can find them, I will have her watch them.
They're just not as readily available.
Yeah.
Well, the Andrew Garfield ones are on Netflix now.
They are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
At least I know the first
technically
one is.
owned by
I don't know
Marvel.
about, don't quote me on the second or the third one, but.
So we basically like he needs to meet with the principal because he's like.
Because of skipping out on.
And the principal is the grandson of one of the people that was in Captain America's group
that he rescued from the camp when he rescued Bucky.
In the 40s, in World War II.
I'm not going to pronounce it.
The Howling Commandos, which for the longest time Matthew was pronouncing as Halloween Commandos.
No, I was saying Halloween.
And I was
Halloween Commandos.
What? Why?
So that's one of the reasons why he still respects Captain America, to show his videos in school.
Yes, because his grandfather knew Cap.
Was best friends with Cap. And so he grew up hearing stories of Captain America's heroism. So that's one of the reasons. Which the only way you know that he's his grandson is because there's a picture of him in his office. Oh, one other thing. The smart teacher, the decathlon teacher, was actually in The Incredible Hulk. He was learning to be a scientist in The Incredible Hulk.
I don't remember this character very well. He's like a very small role.
It was when Bruce went to meet Betty at Cambridge.
Yes. You told me that the other night. I know.
He was learning to be a science teacher at that time.
We learned about this feature in Peter's suit called the Baby Monitor Protocol, which is basically like a zoom and enhance thing, which I thought was...
Baby Monitor was the tracking. No.
No.
Yeah, no, Baby Monitor was,
Oh, he can record. It's
yeah.
weird. And I love
that everything he does is recorded.
I love, like, the shots of him in the mirror, like, talking to
Thor,
himself.
acting like Thor.
Yeah. And then we jump to the Staten Island Ferry, which I thought was really cool. I've only ever been to Staten Island once, and
that's more than me.
no shade to anyone who lives on Staten Island. It's not good.
No shade, but it sucks.
It's I've never been on the Staten Island Ferry. My mom and I just like drove there because there's a bridge, but it's like it's okay. Because I lived in New Jersey for a year, I got like really used to the way that movies and TV shows that are set in New York shoot the Statue of Liberty. They like to shoot it at angles that is like physically impossible at that angle. Like they really like movies like getting her face because that's like what's like the most presentable.
Yeah.
But like they present the certain angles that are just not possible. And this movie actually did a really good job because the Staten Island Ferry actually literally goes right past the Statue of Liberty, like past her face. Yeah. And there's a shot of the Staten Island Ferry like split in half and the Statue of Liberty framed behind it, which I thought was really cool. And he's like tying it together with the webs.
Yeah. And he was 98% successful.
The vulture is freaking terrifying, though.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say? Those giant wings are absolutely menacing.
Yeah. I like the suit, but I do prefer the comic book one a little bit more.
Google what the comic book one looks like. He looks like he should be in Cats.
Quit bringing cats into Marvel movies. This is like the 7th time you've done it. Tony's the only one that trusted Iron Man and believed him, so he called the FBI to be there to arrest Vulture. Spider-Man happened to be there and then almost get arrested himself.
He takes the suit from him and sends him home in like very like tourist clothes that you would get from like a gift shop, which I thought was funny.
Because I mean, Peter.
The Hello Kitty pajama pants.
Because I mean, if Peter listened, Vulture would have been arrested because he said, "I am nothing without the suit."
Yeah, and there's a whole line where he says, like, if you're nothing without the suit,
then you don't deserve the suit.
Yeah, which I thought was nice.
Because I mean,
and that's kind of like a big motivation for him later.
Mm-hmm. If anyone says, "I am this without this," then you don't need it. You need to learn how to perform without it.
It's a crutch.
Yeah, it turns into a crutch. Because I don't think he would have relied on the suit as much if he didn't hack into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if he just left it as it was.
But to be fair, it's like you're giving a 15-year-old all of these cool toys, and a 15-year-old with a savior complex.
Mm-hmm. I have to say Spider-Man is a good mixture of Tony and Cap.
I see that.
He has I have to be the hero from Cap.
He has a little bit of Tony's arrogance, though.
Yes, but he is also a high schooler. What high schooler doesn't have arrogance?
Yeah.
Him
I
being
think
a
it's
teenager, just, things like that.
It's that typical, like, I'm just a teenager, but, like, I'm untouchable, like, you can't hurt me kind of.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize his own limitations.
I mean, granted, he's only been Spider-Man for 8 months at this point. He wants to be a normal athlete, but if he starts performing excellence, if he starts performing very well, it's going to raise suspicions.
So then he asks Liz to homecoming.
Yeah.
And this is where I really, really, really wish I didn't know the plot twist. I really wish I didn't know her dad was the Vulture.
Yeah.
Because the plot twist that we just had in Guardians 2, where
there's not another plot twist that's that good.
No, but like when we learn about Peter's dad in that, like not this Peter Quill, we learned about his dad in that. My jaw was on the floor, and I think I would have had a similar reaction.
I don't think you would have.
But I remember when this movie came out, everybody was talking about it on Twitter.
I don't think you would have had the same reaction. I really don't think you would have, in all honesty.
I think you would have been surprised, but you also would have had that moment where you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
There's certain parts of these movies that are just really hard to avoid in our society. This is one of those that I feel like everybody and their mom was talking about when this movie first came out. Peter stays remarkably calm considering that his crush is
Oh, he does not stay calm. He is freaking out inside.
I would be hyperventilating and crying in a corner.
Yeah, but you're also a wimp.
So So comparatively, he's doing pretty well.
I'm just saying.
He is freaking out.
Why is
because,
this whole
think
why
about
is this
it.
whole podcast you guys just roasting me?
I mean, think about it. Peter doesn't stop.
I'm used to it at this point.
Peter doesn't stop talking.
Me.
Yeah.
And
And he is just in complete silence.
He's just like stunned.
Yeah. And then I just like how Vulture starts to realize.
He's like asking him very like on the surface pretty general questions.
Yeah, like how do you know Liz? Things like that. How do you know my daughter? Blah blah blah. He's like, and then Liz said, yeah, he was in Maryland or he was in DC with us, but he missed the decathlon. And
yeah, he's like, oh, but he missed XYZ. He missed the party.
Yeah, and he wasn't. We didn't see him at Washington Monument. Things like that. And he was like, oh.
He was like, oh, I saw the whole thing in the elevator from the ground. I'm glad everybody was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just little things here or there that Vulture pretty much figured it out instantly.
Peter grabs his bad suit, which is like a sweatshirt and sweatpants.
I wouldn't say bad suit. His original.
His original suit.
His original suit.
And this whole movie, he has like this secret hiding place under a locker.
Under his locker.
Which he like lifts it up like it's like this. He has super strength.
Yes.
But still.
Which we saw him lift a airport terminal, or not terminal, a jet bridge.
And he fights Shocker in the parking lot.
Yeah, which is the actual real Shocker.
And then he steals Flash's car, which is really funny because he's a 15-year-old boy that has never driven a car before.
He doesn't know how to drive. So there was a lot of stuff that Happy was loading into the airplane. Was the Hulkbuster, which you'll see again later.
The Hulkbuster's cool.
Cap's new shield, and Thor's magical belt, which we've never seen. And Thor's magical belt doesn't ring. I don't remember or Thor's belt in the comics. Peter and Vulture are fighting in a abandoned warehouse, and Peter gets crushed underneath the rubble, and we think it's the end of the movie.
No, we didn't.
No,
I was like, who thought that?
a lot of people did.
And then the plane...
I thought they were gonna kill Spider-Man, like...
Or injure him. Like, majorly injure him.
Oh.
The plane takes off, and it's like an invisible...
It's the same technology as the helicarrier.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's really cool. And we get to see it like pretty close up, and it's like you can see how each individual panel is working, and it's, I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And they're basically fighting on the outside of this plane.
Yeah. Or we see Peter get out of it, and he thinks he is going to be trapped and die there. Because he doesn't truly believe in himself after all of his screw-ups that he's had lately. He has an inner monologue that he convinces himself that he can do this.
Yes.
Because he thinks he still needs his new suit, and he has to learn to work without that. To work without all of the special webbing and Friday and everything. Or Karen. He has to learn to work without Karen.
How dare you forget her name?
I'm sorry, I got hers and Tony's mixed up. Or his and Tony's mixed up.
So then they crash at Coney Island, or what I assume is Coney Island. There's really not a whole lot of like these basically fairs on a beach in New York.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's Coney Island. They never say it. He basically figures out that he needs to stop using the suit as a crutch, and
he learns
to like have resilience on his own.
Yeah. Where he learns that he can trust himself, that his judgment is good, and that he was not right all along, but he was able to prove that he knows what he's doing. Happy didn't trust him, Tony didn't trust him with this responsibility to protect New York.
He ties up Vulture and leaves a note for them.
Which that is, so we do see the radiation blow up his wingsuit.
Yes.
From the arc reactors, because he starts to take off with the arc reactors, and Peter's trying to warn him, but Vulture is ignoring him. And then Vulture blows up, and then Peter saves him. Being the good little hero that he is.
And we go back to school, and we figure out that Liz is moving to Oregon.
Yeah.
Didn't you love that shout out to your...
Yeah.
Matthew lived in Oregon for a while, if you did not know. The scene in the bathroom is really funny. Where, like, Happy is in the bathroom and, like, they're trying to have a conversation and some kid just, like, walks out of the stall.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes forever to wash his hands and dry them off.
I love the thing where he's like, how long have you been in here? You don't want to know.
So we see the new Avengers HQ, or the remodeled Avengers HQ.
Up in upstate New York.
Which is the same one that was in
Ant-Man
and
End of Age of Ultron.
Yeah. The old Stark warehouse.
Yep. And he is offered an official Avenger position.
He technically is still a Avenger.
And he gets offered this new fancy schmancy suit.
And he says no.
Which I was really kind of disappointed about, actually.
But at the end, he would have had to leave school to move up there. He would have had to leave Aunt May.
Well, this was my question, because he's like, oh, we'll put you next to Vision. It's like, what about Aunt May? He's 15.
He would have had to leave Aunt May.
Like, I'm sorry, if I were Aunt May, I'd be like, no, you're 15.
But then
Like, absolutely not. You can't go off with your superhero friends.
Which Tony is really impressed with him, with the choice that he made. Yeah.
And they basically...
Shoot, if I was 15 and I was offered a seat like that, I would have absolutely taken that without thinking.
This is why Peter Parker is better than you.
Thanks. I always have to get one roast in while I roast you the rest of the time.
If that's not love, I don't know what is.
But Tony gives back the suit because he learned...
Peter gives back the suit?
Or Tony gives the suit back to Peter.
Okay, yeah. I was like...
Tony gives the suit back to Peter because Peter realized that he doesn't need the suit to be a hero.
He learned his lesson.
Yeah, he learned that he can be a hero. If he can be the same Spider-Man with his old suit as he is with his new suit, he learns that he doesn't need the new one.
They also have to, because they have a room full of, like, reporters and stuff, and they need to, like, make a cover-up real quick, and so they,
Tony engages to Pepper, essentially.
Proposes.
They're engaged.
He gets home, and he
sees the suit on his bed.
He puts on the suit, and Aunt May sees him, so Aunt May knows he's Spider-Man, which part of me thinks, did she already know?
No.
No.
Aunt May never knows until Peter tells her.
Like, girl, the signs are there. Like,
read the room.
Really, though. Do you not know well, I guess he's not her
see
kid.
Another Sinister Six character.
So we get this after the mid-credit sequence is Vulture in prison, and he comes across a Scorpion.
Yep, which is the 5th one that we've seen. Or 4. There's still 2 left. Do you know who the 4 are that we've seen so far, Katie? I'm talking about even in the old Spider-Mans.
I feel like if you list them out...
I know Green Goblin's not one of them.
No. So it's Doc Ock, Electro, which was in Andrew Garfield's, Vulture, and Scorpion are 2 of the 6. Technically, Rhino is one of them in some comic arcs.
Shocker?
No.
Who's the last one?
Kraven the Hunter is technically the 6th, and some, and then others. The 6th one usually will depend on the arc, but the original Sinister Six ended with Kraven the Hunter.
And then the last thing we see in this movie is
another PSA from Cap.
That's a wrap on Spider-Man Homecoming. What are your final thoughts, Katie? Like, what is your overall thoughts on this movie? Is it like your favorite out of all of them? Maybe you should have asked that at the beginning.
It's definitely one of my favorites. I'm excited for you to see the other ones and see how things connect.
I really liked this movie. I'm not entirely sure how it fits into the rest of it, other than his relationship with Tony. But I'm intrigued to see how it...
It's more of him learning his suit to be helpful in Endgame Infinity War.
Yeah, I'm excited to see everything pan out.
I mean, it's the same with Doctor Strange.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is I'm excited to see all the pieces come together.
Okay.
Not necessarily...
I've always been a major Spider-Man fan. I think Spider-Man comics were the first comics that I owned. Were Spider-Man. Because I have, not the originals, but back in like 2003 through like 2005, 2006, they, in the Dallas Sunday paper once a month, or it might have been every week, they redid the first 20 Spider-Man comics.
Yes.
And
You're
so
telling me that.
I have all of those. So they're not the originals, but they're the remakes
Where does
of
this,
the original.
out of all of the ones that we've done so far, where does this stack for you?
Middle
I feel
top.
like you say that for all of them.
No, middle top. Because I like more of the later ones. Because I still like a lot more that we haven't gone to yet. More.
His favorite is Ant-Man and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ragnarok is my top.
Which we're covering next week.
For what we've seen so far, it would go Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Ultron, Civil War, Iron Man 3, Avengers, and then the rest of them.
Yeah. So, I like this movie. I think I like Civil War and Ultron a hair better. But I've had fun.
I mean, that's the thing. Ultron closed with Ultron. And then more seats opened up once Civil War started.
I have to say, though, I haven't disliked any of them except for Thor. I really didn't like the first Thor movie.
I think you'll like the other one.
You'll like Ragnarok.
I think you'll like Ragnarok.
I really like Jeff Goldblum, so.
You'll like Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Jeff Goldblum stan. Who isn't? But yeah, that is a wrap on Spider-Man Homecoming. Does anyone else have anything to say?
No. There wasn't a whole lot of fun facts.
Yeah, we tried to look up some fun facts. Frankly, they're becoming far and few between. We kind of sprinkled them throughout a little bit, but, other than, this person was considered for this role, that's not interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we are covering Thor Ragnarok. And, yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
If you would like to send us any feedback, you can follow us on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or Twitter at fanclub_podcast. You can also discuss each episode with us on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/thefanclubpodcast. And make sure you tune in every Marvel Monday.